Live service games and games that offer extensive content post-release often pride themselves on replayability. When you pick up games like Apex Legends, Fortnite, Overwatch, League of Legends, all of these games have one set goal, and that's to get you into matches and keep you playing constantly. They feed you this gameplay loop so that you always want to come back. On the other hand, RPGs such as Final Fantasy XIV, Monster Hunter, and Honkai Impact have repeatable content that challenges the player to build better characters and get better at the game. Not many games have jumped over the gap of niche to mainstream like Genshin Impact has, yet it still seemingly lacks some kind of endgame content, as the user base continuously talks about it, at least on the subreddits and Twitter. Now, before we leap into this, I think it's important to establish what endgame content is and what I mean by it. Endgame content in any video game is usually in place to keep the player base from leaving. It's usually repeatable enough so that people will keep coming back and keep playing as days go by. There are a few main keys of endgame content that I think make it endgame content. For one, it has to be challenging enough for long-time players, but still possible to do. For two, it has to be content that's repeatable. An endgame in most live service games means that this is kind of the final content you're going to be doing. However, you want to be able to keep redoing it for rewards as time goes on, so that it keeps your player base churning and coming back for more. Finally, it offers decent rewards for the challenge. Please keep in mind that I'm not talking about this from a game design perspective to say, but instead what we might interpret as endgame content for this video. And with these guidelines, I can say that in short, Genshin does have a endgame content loop in the form of Abyss. For those of you who don't know, Abyss is a series of battles that you do with two teams of 4 characters each. You get a variety of drops including Mora, artifacts, and Primogems. It resets every 15-ish days or half a month, and it does qualify as endgame content. At least on the surface, it's basically what I would describe as endgame content. The real question really is it good endgame content? I'd say no, not really, and I'll get into why here. The content resets once every 15 days-ish, which means most players will be getting on, using their stamina, doing their commissions, and logging off. The reality is a majority of the game post-existing story is just farming, and that farming leads you through a progression system of rather ruthless RNG. In short, it never really gives you what you want. As the only real existing extra thing to do in the game past a certain point, it's a little dry. Progression in Genshin can be unusually slow due to this system of RNG that you're constantly fighting a war with. The game is a bit content dry when you beat past all the story stuff. But I want to get back to that, but first let me go into Reason 2 really quick. Reason 2 is rewards. For most games with repeatable endgame content, there's a tiering system, and that tiering system usually sets up who gets what rewards and why some people get more and some people get less. So usually people with better built characters will get more, and people with worse built characters will get less, because it's usually a competition kind of system. However, Genshin doesn't really have that. Many people might sprint through Abyss 9 and 10, and then have to trek through 11 and 12. And honestly, to me it just isn't worth it. I can clear Abyss 9 and 10 pretty easily, but once you get to 11 and 12 it becomes a little bit more of a struggle. I have to think more, I have to put more thought into my team composition in order to clear it with the 9 stars, which sometimes I can't even get 9 stars for a variety of reasons. This in itself is not a problem if it wasn't for the fact that rewards you get for clearing every floor are exactly the same. Getting 9 stars on the easiest floor is the exact same thing as getting 9 stars on the hardest, and that doesn't make it feel worth it. For some of the games I've played in the past, the endgame content is usually based on tiers, which means the better you do, the more you'll get out of it. Of course, I am glad I don't have to wail for things in Genshin, and I think it's better for the player base to stay that way, but at the same time, just clearing Abyss 12, even as a free-to-play player, might just feel unsatisfying since you're getting the same reward that you're getting for Abyss 9. So at the end of the day, it just kind of became no real pressure for me to push through Abysses 11 and 12. Sure, I could get more rewards, but I'm not really pulling out my hair for not clearing a floor or two. In an interview with Pash Magazine, translated by the Wangsheng Funeral Parlor Discord team, Mihoyo or Hoyoverse stated, "Our mission is to provide a better and more casual gaming experience, and this became our starting point for making Genshin Impact." So this endgame thing truly isn't an issue because they designed the game a different way from what you'd expect. There is the factor of satisfying players and longtime players. However, if the data they have, that X number of people are leaving but a larger Y number of people are joining every quarter, then is it truly a big deal for them? And the answer is probably no. The team at Hoyoverse might view the casual gaming experience with the factors of some people having to go to school and having jobs, and just having less free time than normal. With this in mind, the team at Hoyoverse has created a game that you really only have to spend about 20 minutes to an hour on every day. Even if you want to semi-maximize your efficiency, you probably really only have to log about 30 minutes a day. In short, it's perfect for people who just want to spend a little bit of time playing a game. Then every few weeks or a month and a half, they add new content. And sometimes these updates are rather minuscule, but sometimes they add huge content updates. New regions to explore, new story, all of that stuff is worth your time. And those meaty content updates, there's a lot to do. So in the end, while I do think that Genshin's endgame content is a little lacking, and has a few issues that might need to be ironed out in the future, I just don't feel like it's that big of a deal. Of course, if this is your only game that you play, you'll want to have more to do in-game. But that's not the approach that MiHoYo is having with this game. And it's great for people who just don't want to dedicate all their time to one game, or just Genshin. And of course, you can come back to this video if this changes in the future and point at my dumb face and say, in your face, they changed the endgame content loop. They changed the idea that they originally had, or you were wrong. And sure, I very well might be. But for now, Genshin will remain an open-world RPG with a lack of endgame content, but decent story content and decent exploration to do. It's still a fun game, just every couple weeks or so. And for me, that's okay, because I know that I can just not play the game sometimes and be able to do other things. I won't feel like I'm falling behind by not playing for hours and hours every day. And if you want a different game to play, why not check out the other games I reviewed on this channel? Ah, look, a plug, wow. I mean, most of them by now should be going on sale for relatively cheap sometimes, so you could always take a look and see if there's anything you're interested in. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and comment down below how you feel about Genshin's endgame content loop. Are you satisfied with it? Are you happy with the design approach they chose? Or maybe you're unsatisfied and you want more out of it. Subscribe to the channel for more content relating to JRPGs and anime-styled games. Okay, bye.